It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Welcome back to another episode of Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Alan Saunders. Alan, we avoided a misery Monday for week one, which I'm very happy about. We got a victory Monday here on Steelers Afternoon Drive. And I'm going to be honest, like the fact that we did a post-game show yesterday, I know that we did post-game shows for the preseason as well, but they weren't on a Sunday. It was like a quick turnaround. Happy to be back with you.
Yeah, it's been quick. And I got a bone to pick with Omar Khan because I saw him in Atlanta, and I he was like, "How you doing?" He's a nice guy, obviously cares about me. He's got to stop with the news at 4:00. All right. Well, we're going to have a conversation. We're going to have a conversation here. The Steelers have re-signed two old friends in the last 20 minutes. Corliss Waitman, punter, will be replacing Cam Johnston, who is out for the season. And Terrell Edmunds, back in black and gold, signed off the Jacksonville Jaguars practice squad. Corliss Waitman, I think, was on a short list of guys who have been here before that seemed like they might be good fits at punter. I did not see TE coming back. That's interesting.
Very. And we'll dive into that more, obviously, in the role that he could potentially play for this team and kind of, why they're filling this void, as well as obviously Corliss Waitman. We knew that Cam Johnston's injury was significant, officially rolled out for the season. That's been put out there at this point. So obviously, man, that heart breaks for him in that situation. He had looked so good in the preseason and even, obviously the time that he was able to get in that regular season opener. So that's just absolutely terrible for him. But Corliss Waitman is a guy that I had mentioned when that happened yesterday that I thought potentially could be brought back in, along with obviously some other familiar faces out there, Presley Harvin and Brad Wing. But I'm not upset about going this way. I think Corliss Waitman's an NFL punter. I thought he deserved a shot to stick around more than he has had. So it sucks that it comes at the expense of a Cam Johnston injury, but I'm excited for Corliss Waitman.
Yeah, I mean, he can punt. Like, he had a 62-yarder when he was here in Pittsburgh. I think maybe he didn't have such a great year for the Broncos the following season. But, man, I think he's a good player and someone they've liked for a long time. Someone has a long relationship with Chris Boswell. Spent 2 years here, one on the practice squad and then one split between the practice squad and the active roster. So they should be familiar with one another in terms of just trying to get on the same page, coming in with just 1 week of practice and having to go operate the field goal operation this weekend. He's kicked in Denver before. I assume that'll be some kind of advantage. So I think there's a lot to.
Now we're doing a Corliss Waitman revenge game.
There you go. As we were expecting, the Corliss Waitman revenge game.
Some opportunity's going to knock. Sometimes you just have to wait, men. I'm sorry. People didn't deserve that.
I deserved that for my Pat McAfee joke on Twitter earlier.
Yeah. Alan, also, hey, I don't want to say this is just going to be a recurring thing with the guys from Afternoon Drive, but we both went a little viral yesterday. Your video of Joey Porter Jr. realizing that he had a Sprite in his backpack, and I had
to play that on here. Can you bring that up? Should we play it?
I can play that. Actually, it might be better. It'd probably be better if you can send it to me and I can just play it on here as opposed to the tweet. So we'll play it later in the show. But I had a post, the Tyreek Hill situation, obviously, that happened yesterday. I said, oh, geez, now it's somebody else. DeShon Watson was also arrested while heading to Cleveland Brown Stadium, and it's the cops picking up a trash can and just throwing it into the back of a cop car. So, yeah, we
did
both,
you see his did you see his celebration?
No. Oh, Tyreek.
Yeah.
I thought you meant DeShon's. I was like, I don't know what DeShon was celebrating, but yeah, I saw Tyreek's celebration with Jalen Waddle.
Did you see DeShon? He got hit, and the lineman came over to try to pick him up, and he swatted his hand away. Mm-hmm. Things are not going well in Cleveland. Things are not going well in Cleveland.
Alan, I really hate to see it. I had to break this, even though we didn't play the Browns and aren't playing the Browns this week. I had to pull this shirt out specifically because of what happened. So this is what we're rocking this week if you're watching on YouTube.
There we go.
Yeah, so we'll play that clip that you're talking about here in a little bit, the Joey Porter Jr. video, which was hilarious with the Sprite. The other move that you mentioned, though, with with Terrell Edmunds coming over as well from the practice squad. What do we make of this? Because it kind of felt like the Steelers' depth at safety was already pretty strong, and now they had Terrell Edmunds back into the mix. They obviously hadn't replaced Ryan Watts since that injury. But man, you got like a top 4 of Minkah, DeShon, Elliott, Damontae, Kazee, and Terrell Edmunds. That is awesome.
That might be the best safety room I've ever seen. And yeah, like I think Ryan Watts had been sort of the backup for DeShon Elliott, and I think you see in week 1 how important of a role DeShon Elliott is going to have in this defense. And so you need someone else that can do that job. Terrell Edmunds obviously can. I mean, that's a really, really deep secondary. All 4 guys can play. Man, like there's not a lot more you can ask for in terms of your top 4. Say Miles Killebrew is an all-pro special teamer as the 5th guy in that room. Yeah, that's pretty solid. I always thought Terrell got a bad rap here. He never lived up to the expectations of being a first-round pick. It's not his fault the team overdrafted him. I always thought he was a good player, was a really important part of their defense, and they certainly had missed him when he was gone. Like, it was not the same last year without TE in there. So, I mean, I think Elliott will replace him. I think Elliott will keep starting, but this is fantastic depth.
Yeah, what kind of role do you envision him having, though, at this point? Like, when you look at what's in the room right now and him coming back, like, do you think that he's going to get snaps on like for sure, or is it more about like if somebody goes down?
No, I think he's going to cover kicks and be a backup.
Okay. Because I'll be honest with you, I've liked him more than I feel like the consensus too. I thought for years there was like this notion, and honestly, the statistics back it up, about the Steelers being able to stop tight ends. They were just getting thrashed for years and years. And early in Terrell's tenure, that was still the case. I think that he had to play earlier than he probably should have a big role because the Morgan Burnett signing did not work out for the Steelers the way that they had hoped that it would. But once they got Minkah in here in 19, and those two were playing together, like that was a whole different beast, and they really played well with each other. So I'm definitely on board with him coming back in the fold. I mean, I'm not going to try to over exaggerate the excitement level for bringing a backup safety back here. But I think that this is
Super Bowl championship. Super Bowl.
It is overreaction Monday. So maybe I should. It's overreaction Monday. So maybe
I'm not overreacting to what happened yesterday. Just overreacting to signing a backup punter and a 4th safety.
Mm-hmm. Alan, there were some availability today. You talked to a few players. I don't know if you came away with anything from those conversations at all before we get into some questions, because last Thursday I asked for questions from Twitter and then we didn't answer a single one of them. So apologies to those people. We ended up having different topics to discuss. We're going to get into those today. But was there anything that you took away from any of those conversations today that you had?
Yeah, I talked to Troy Fautanu a good bit today just about what the plan is for him. He said, last week it was definitely still like a ramping up thing. This week he feels like he's going to be good to go 100%. But, he said he kind of acknowledged it's hard to win a job right now. Like, what happens on the field in games is going to be more important than what happens in practice. So, like, reading between the lines, like, this feels like we're into another Broderick Jones situation where, because he missed all that time in training camp, it's going to be really hard for him to pass somebody right now. Somebody's going to have to lose a job, I feel like. And I mean, I don't know. I haven't rewatched the game yet, but my first glance was that I thought those tackles played pretty well. I don't know who
the
you're
run
going to
blocking was really good. Yeah. I thought the run blocking was very good. I thought that and to be honest with you, there weren't enough like true pass sets for me to really tell, to be quite honest with you. Not that I think I'm the best at breaking down offensive line tape, and I didn't even watch the defense because I just wanted to get through offensive stuff today and didn't have all that much time. But yeah, I thought that there were definitely encouraging moments in the run game up front, especially from the tackles.
Yeah, so if that's what he's saying, that the in-game stuff is going to matter more, I mean, this injury could ultimately cost him a chance to start as a rookie. And it's really hard for the Steelers because right now, like, honestly, I think it's easier for me to see Troy Fautanu beating out Broderick Jones. Like, I could see that being possible. Like, if he continues to show up at practice and he looks good, he could look like the better option there. But then, are the Steelers mid-season going to take Broderick Jones, who hasn't been practicing at left tackle since OTAs, basically, play him on the left side with a bad right elbow, and now move that bad right elbow from the outside arm of the front side of the quarterback to the inside arm of the back side of the quarterback? Like that? And if you're doing it, and if you're starting Fautanu and you're going to put Broderick Jones on the bench, unless the idea is do it until Jones can get healthy, maybe, I guess. But man, I don't know. They're in a tough spot there. I just don't. It's one thing as a fan, I think, to scream and say we want to see the first round pick, and like I get it, but like I don't know the right way to go forward here. I don't see an easy, sensible path for the Steelers.
Yeah. I'm not the one that's paid to make those decisions. It's easy for me as a fan to say what you just said. You invested a first round pick in him. I thought that he was so good at Washington and so ready that you could play him day one. Much more advanced than when they took Broderick the year prior in terms of where his pass protection was at. But the injury happens, and now how does that affect the timeline? I don't know what the answer is. I would love to see him sooner rather than later, but not to the point where it's, rushing a situation or negatively impacting the on-field product that you're getting from the tackles if it is good enough for them to win. So I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, and let's be real. I didn't hear anything from Matt Judon in that game. Did you? I didn't think he was particularly impactful.
Yeah, he had that one set where what was it, like Fields held onto the ball for 10 seconds. I mean, yeah,
Smitty, you can't say that Fields holds onto the ball too long. The Bears fans will come find us on YouTube and comment that we don't know what we're talking about if we say Fields holds onto the ball too long.
I thought that I said some nice things about Justin's performance yesterday in terms of not turning the ball over.
Did you see the comments from Morning Rush today?
No, I didn't.
It's absolutely unhinged. I think that was the most complimentary I've ever been of Justin Fields, and everyone was just ripping.
Still, okay, jeez. Yeah, well, either way, yeah, Matt Judon, one play in that game he got half a sack on because Fields held onto the ball forever, broke the pocket, and yeah, it was trying to extend the play and took a sack. But either way, yeah, like you were saying, that wasn't the point of that conversation. The point was the tackle was holding up well against that team.
Yeah, so I mean, Denver doesn't have any edge rushers that terrify me.
Yeah, Jonathan Cooper, Baron Browning. Yeah.
I mean, you got Joey Bosa coming up in 2 weeks. So
Yep. That will be more of a test, obviously, than the Broncos. Again, I don't mean to keep talking down on the Broncos. If you watched the post game yesterday, we were talking about what should the Broncos total points line be set at right now. But we'll talk more about the Broncos as we get deeper into the week. Interesting stuff with Fautanu, how early is he going to get on the field? I'll be interested to see in the comments as well what you guys think about that specific topic. Anything else from today?
Answer this very specifically. Would you play Broderick Jones? I'm sorry, would you play Troy Fautanu if it meant that Broderick Jones was the guy going to the bench? I think that's a really tough question to answer.
Jeez. Yeah,
right?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm in the I feel like the people that are watching, listening to this had already typed out yes, thinking that you were just going to say in place of Dan Moore, are you just going to throw Fautanu out there right now? But being that it's in place of Broderick, people are backspacing right now. Wait a minute, I don't know.
Or maybe it could
I would rather just not start Fautanu yet, as opposed to starting and stopping with Broderick.
I think I agree, unless the medical outlook for Broderick is 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and then he'll be fine. Then I could see, okay, set him down, let him practice that whole time at left tackle while he's getting fully healthy, and then bring him back in at left tackle. Maybe that is the plan. I don't know. It's interesting though. I think they're in a tough spot, and I think it's mostly because of the injuries. I don't think the Steelers. You can't have a rookie miss the last 3 weeks of training camp and win a job. It's really hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there anything else to take away from today before we get into some of these questions?
No, I don't think so. I have a question for you before we get into these questions, because some parts of the YouTube audience, and I'll be honest, I don't think it's mostly our regular audience. I think it's mostly the 1,000 or so Bears fans that seem to find us every time we put Justin Fields in the headline. Do you think I'm too hard on Justin Fields? I want your opinion.
No. Immediately, my answer is no. I think it's how people felt like you were. I think it's eerily similar to how people felt like you were last year with Mason. The conversation.
Yeah.
And for very different reasons, obviously, and they're two very different players. But I just think that there is that specific player has such a niche fan base himself, not necessarily the team, but like the player. There's a Justin Fields fan base that, like you said, when you're critiquing the pros and cons, the cons cause a much louder conversation.
Yeah, I actually thought he was a lot better than I expected him to be. Maybe not a lot better, but I was very impressed with his ability to.
The fact he didn't turn the ball over to me was like
out of danger, right? I mean that was, it's been such a problem for him, and I thought it was noteworthy that he kind of, and I thought it was obvious too. Like, if you watch the way he ran, like, go back and look at some of those runs from Chicago. It's like it was a much more in control, mature version of himself, right? Like, you didn't see him like taking crazy risks to extend plays and then fumbling. Like, I don't know. It's one game. I'm not gonna like anoint him a changed man, but I was pretty impressed by what I saw. I thought I was pretty complimentary this morning. Apparently, I wasn't complimentary enough.
Not enough. If there were any cons, that's why you got the comments that you did about the way he looked. Yeah, to me, I said for an offense that I thought showed obviously signs, but they got to find a way to finish drives. But the reason that I thought that they were able to do enough and they only had 1 3 and out, I thought the difference maker was Justin's legs. And I said that yesterday, like the design QB runs they were doing and stuff, which to me, that's, giving him a compliment for the way that he was kind of able to elevate the offense to be good enough to win that football game and keep them on the field, keep drives going. Of course, they ended up settling for 3, but time of possession as well. Like that all plays into this.
And I wrote this in my takeaways at SteelersNow.com. I thought they all got better as the game went on, which I think is very specifically a credit to Fields, that they did not lose their heads when the first drive was about like the worst point scoring offensive drive I've ever seen in my life. Like, in terms of like, just like they did nothing right on that drive. Somehow came away with 3 points thanks to Boswell kicking a forever and a day long field goal. And then they got better as the game went on. And I think you should give Fields a lot of credit for keeping things calm, cool, and collected when it might have been easy to panic. But yeah, I mean, wasn't technically like proficient or good offensive football. It was 0 touchdowns against the Atlanta Falcons. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Which is not great.
This question was specifically about Sunday, but I'm going to tweak this a little bit because I think that there's something good within this. John said, if Fields does start on Sunday, does the offense change when comparing what Wilson would do if he was in? So let's take out, we obviously saw Justin Fields start in that game. What do you think is different when Justin starts? What do you think will be different when we do see Russell Wilson within that offense?
Yeah, obviously, Russ is going to run less designed run and fewer scrambles. I think Wilson gets rid of the ball faster. He's more decisive, and I think he's more accurate. And so, like, I don't know how much you're going to see the offense change its character. Probably not a whole lot. Like, I don't think the run-pass balance would change that much. They may trust Wilson. Like, I felt like a lot of the passing concepts for Fields were like cut down his vision, narrow it's a bootleg, it's play action. There's 3 guys on crossers. You can read them kind of all in one field of vision, right? It's just levels, right? 1, 2, 3. Am I throwing short, middle, or deep? And you don't even need to move your head to make the read. I think you can do more when you have a quarterback that you're more comfortable, like letting him scan the field, letting him feel the rush and be able to replace in his mind, like, oh, this guy that I didn't think was going to blitz is coming from here, so that means there's no defender back over there, and kind of do that math in your head. Like, there was one play, I think it was the Grady Jarrett sack, when Freiermuth was wide open. Fields had a little bit of time, but he was looking the wrong way, and then by the time he came back around, Jarrett got him. But, like, I think that's a play where a more experienced quarterback that's better at reading defenses might have been able to see, oh, there's pressure coming from this way. Like, I need to not make my first read and look over there because like it's got to be hotter than that. Some things like that. I don't think there's a ton of difference, though. I think these are largely like similar players. They both throw good deep balls. They're both athletic enough that you can run all the same play calls. Obviously, you're not going to get like huge chunks of yardage from Russell Wilson running, but if you want to slip in a quarterback draw every once in a while, he can certainly do it. He's done it a lot in his career. So I don't think it changes the offense maybe greatly, just probably the way it's executed. I don't think, how many first downs did Justin Fields pick up with his legs? 3 or 4, maybe.
Yeah.
It was pretty significant. I don't think Russell Wilson's picking those up with his legs, but I think he can probably pick them up with his arm. I mean, there were plenty of passes out there to be made that weren't made, and he'd probably make a couple more of them.
Yeah, that's fair. The base Yenzer, this is afternoon drive favorite here. I feel like he always gets a question, and when I asked for them, said, I feel like I've seen a lot of corner blitzes from the Steelers in the preseason. Do you think getting Austin finally has the personnel to get creative with defensive schemes in that respect, mainly because of a revamped linebacker room? What do you think that we see different?
Yeah, I think it's a lot harder to blitz your corner when you're like holding on to your interior coverage by like your fingernails. Like, you're just barely getting everybody covered up most of the time on the inside. Let's blitz a corner. Like, it's just not something that you think you're going to do. I think having better players elsewhere lets you blitz from more places. Absolutely. That is, I think that's a key concept of this Steelers defense, really, is that they want to make it so that you can't tell where the pressure is coming from. It's really hard to do that when you have known weaknesses. And I don't think the Steelers defense, as it's currently constructed, has a whole lot of known weaknesses. I really don't. I think they're quite good. They're very balanced. There's just not a lot they're bad at. And so, yeah, I think it lets you do a lot of things, corner blitzing be one of them, but a lot of other things too. Like, it lets you spy. It lets you spoof coverages where you're going to make it. There was one where they ran like straight up center field drop Tampa 2 out of center field safety 8-man box look. So normally when you're on Tampa 2, I need the whiteboard. I don't have it. Normally when you're on Tampa 2, you have 2 safeties, middle of the field open, and then the middle linebacker runs up the seam with the tight end or whatever. They ran it with the linebacker down the box by the line of scrimmage, one safety here, one safety here. Then they rotated, ran the linebacker straight the middle, and it's like, the quarterback has no idea how to read that between his pre-snap read and his post-snap read. That thing I'm talking about that Russell Wilson might have done that Justin Fields didn't do, it gets a lot harder when the defense doesn't look the way it lined up. And it's a lot easier to do that stuff too when you don't have obvious weaknesses that you're trying to work around. When you have strength over here and strength over there, you can mask your intentions so much easier. Yeah, I think absolutely you're going to see a more creative defense from TA now that center coverage role seems to be better taken care of.
Did you see a lot of slot blitzes yesterday? The one that I can think of was DeShon Elliott screaming off the edge, but they had a really nice counter for it. They just like Kirk got rid of it to DeShon, picked up like 9 on first down or something like that. But that was really the only one that I could remember seeing somebody blitzing from the slot.
Yeah, I think I saw the one you're talking about. I think Beanie might have come on a run play.
Okay.
And it was to the and it might have even been to the other side. So yeah, that was the only one that I saw that was like really impactful. But yeah, slot corner, safe, straight corner blitz, safety blitz. I think all those things you can see more of. I also think, and the Steelers talked about this after the game. I think it was Tomlin. Kirk Cousins, pretty good player against the blitz, and they kind of knew that. So they were intentionally not blitzing very much in that game. So, like, if you think you saw a lot of blitzes, you probably did not even see what is going to be an average number of blitzes for this defense, because they were pretty intentionally backing away from blitzing Kirk Cousins and trying to disrupt him with 4-man pressure. And boy, did they do that.
And now they got a rookie quarterback who's played all of 1 game in the NFL next week.
So
no. We'll see how different that looks. Aiden said, who contributes this year the most on offense, do you think? Not named Najee, Jalen, George, or Pat. So basically, who is the guy that's going to step up if you had to pick one behind those guys?
Who's the fifth?
Who's the fifth option, guy? I guess. Yeah.
I assume I can't pick Justin Fields as a rusher.
I mean,
because that's probably the right answer. I don't know.
I'm going to say my answer is going to change the second half. Michael Pruitt played more than Darnell Washington yesterday. Now, I know Darnell, he was limited or didn't play or didn't practice one day last week.
So
yeah. So we'll see. I'm not saying that that's going to be a trend. I'm just saying Pruitt played, despite the fact it was more than Washington.
He played more than Connor Hayward. I think that's the thing that probably I wasn't 100% sure about. Right? That like where the tight end. I think to me it's pretty clear. Darnell's 2 and Pruitt's 3 and Hayward's 4 now. I honestly don't know who. That's a really good question.
I'm going to say by the second half of the season, and I know that it's hard to envision a world where this happens right now because we haven't seen him. I'm going to say it's going to be Roman Wilson by the second half of the season.
I can't say that's a bad choice. I'll say Calvin Austin. I think if they get Russ in there, Calvin will catch some of those moon balls just from running behind everybody. End up with
okay, it's fair.
20.
We saw how different it was for him with Russ as opposed to Justin.
20 catches for 350 yards or something like that.
Yeah, which would be probably ahead of anybody that's not the 4 that were named here. So that's good for that. And then all these I apologize to people that ask these questions, but every other one is literally about Sunday's game specifically. So we of course though we try to get to as many questions as possible. So be sure to leave them for sure in the comments. Still, you guys know how we roll. Alan, I got this clip now. Ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Sprite. All right. So this is the clip that we were talking about, shared by Bleacher Report. But Alan posted this. It's a great interaction. You guys know how locker room videos aren't always. This isn't what you always catch in the background. I'll say.
No. Normally, searching the background of the locker room videos is a very thankless job. Where the worst case scenario is that I don't see something that's there. And the second worst case scenario is that I do see something that's there, and that's not better either.
Yeah. So here we go.
So going into the game, it's not hard to prepare for them.
You gotta give him a couple plays. So you really gotta focus on Joey in the background and what you're seeing there, and listen to what he says because it's good.
And watch the hand as well.
Yeah.
So going into the game, it's not hard to prepare for them.
I saved a Sprite.
One more time.
So going into the game, it's not hard to prepare for them.
And where was this? Where did he save it from?
What's that?
Where did he save it from?
I assume from the pregame meal. Whatever, and he shoved it in his bag. I don't know. I did not talk to Joey about it because I did not notice it as it was happening. Of course, I'm focused on DeShon Elliott, trying to interview DeShon Elliott, listening to what he's saying and getting ready for the next question. I did interview Joey Porter Jr. right after that, but I hadn't seen it yet until I went back to check the background of the videos before I posted them, and that's when I saw that. And I did not run into Joey today. I was hoping to, but I have forwarded that to the people at Coca-Cola. So maybe the young man can get an endorsement out of this because I think he deserves it. That was quite an authentic reaction to finding a Sprite in his bag. Like he's clearly seriously a fan.
Yeah. Alan, I want to get your thoughts on this clip, and maybe you've seen this, but I don't know if we've discussed it. And this will be more geared towards my other podcast around the 412. But a couple of days I was out there for training camp. The first time that Pat saw me when they were coming up the hill from walkthroughs or whatever. I didn't realize this in real time either until I watched this back, but he nodded and listened to what he says. What up, brother? Did you hear what he called the podcast?
412.
Oh, yeah. When has anybody ever why would you put one number by itself and then the other two together? Might as well say 41-2.
I think people that are cool can do that, and it's fine. Like you just don't question it. It's like if somebody handed you a suit jacket and you were like, Gucci made this specifically for you, and you're like, but why is it made out of tire rubber? You don't actually say that out loud. Like you just think that in your head and you go, oh, cool, right? Cool people can do whatever they want. It doesn't matter if it makes sense to the rest of us.
I mean, he apologized for it.
Apologize? You demanded an apology for that?
I didn't demand it. I just put him on the spot. So he joined me for Steelers Saturday Sit Down, the pilot episode. In the very end of the episode, I was like, you have to answer for this. Not to me, but to the people of Pittsburgh for pronouncing the area code this way.
I'm fine with it. If you want to call Pittsburgh 412, it doesn't bother me.
It's better than 41-2. Like I said, that would make absolutely no sense, but it's the same idea in terms of.
What's really funny is that if somebody said 412, you would really look at them like like they had four heads, but that would be how you would say the number.
I mean,
correctly.
It's on my hat. It's on my hat. It's on my necklace. I have a tattoo.
I'm just saying, like, if you see those numbers that way in the wild, you would read that as 412. You would not read it as 412.
Right.
That would make more sense than 412.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. But so Pat did issue an apology though to the people of Pittsburgh for doing that. So I appreciate that happening.
The only one of those, I don't care how you pronounce the numbers. The only one that bothers me is do not abbreviate the city as PITT. That one really it really bothers me. PITT is the college. Okay, you can do PIT in all caps because that's the airport, but the right abbreviation is PGH. So pick one of those two, and never under any circumstances PITT. Gone, out.
Your social media handle, which I'm about to ask you to say, is literally the reason that I changed my social media handle to include PGH. I don't know if I ever told you that, but literally that is why I did it. I was just like, oh, this looks more professional, I feel like, and lets people know exactly what type of topics they can see on my page. So
PGH is correct. The Pirates have it on. Well, not that we should trust what the Pirates say, but
yeah. I agree.
PGH, the way to go. PIT. All right. Well, we'll take it. We'll take PIT, but no. Oh yeah. Don't put that second T on there. You're just wrong. You're just wrong.
I'm actually gonna ask Pat how he would abbreviate Pittsburgh because if he says like PITT, he'll be issuing another apology.
What's the equivalent of saying 412? Like PBG? Like just something that nobody else ever even thought of before their entire life. And you're sitting there like, I guess that's not technically incorrect, but you're kind of nuts.
Yeah. You need to seek help if that's the way that you're going to go with an abbreviation. But either way, Alan, tell the people they can find you.
Oh, wait, I got something to do before that. We got the old, we got another little credential for the wall here from the fine folks in Atlanta.
Wait, what does that look like? It looks very thin. And
they're like plastic paper. I don't know what that's the only.
I say it looks different than the normal.
If you have not been to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, by the way, very nice venue and extremely friendly people there. I think it's climbing up my list. It's climbing up.
If they were playing, like it was just too early in the season, the fact it was their opener, because I want to do a road game this year, and that would have probably been the one that I picked.
Just notice that Atlanta called me visiting media, but Detroit just called me media. They must like me more in Detroit. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. Which way is it normally on the road?
These are new. Normally they're all different. This is the first year the NFL's taking over the credentials, and now they're all the same. They used to. So,
okay.
Let me find an old one here. Like Carolina from 2022 looks nothing like.
Okay. There we go. By the way, if you're listening and not watching, a lot of this probably isn't making sense, but we're talking about Alan's credential wall that he has as his backdrop. So maybe you should switch over just for these last couple minutes to see what that looks like. Alan, tell the people they can find you other than in Denver for next Sunday's football game.
You've never been to Denver, so I'm looking forward to that. At @Saunders_PGH, PGH Steelers Now, SteelersNow.com. Promo code Allen10 gets you 10% off an annual subscription to Steelers Now Plus, where you get the best stuff for myself and Derek Bell, and you'll get another episode of Southside Scoop coming up on, I think we're going to try Thursday or Friday. I don't know. We did Thursday the first week, we did Saturday this past week. Just depends on how much stuff happens and how long I can get.
How much scoop?
Yeah, how much scoop? Sometimes the scoops are bigger. Sometimes it's like Raisin Bran. There was actually like 2 scoops in there this week. And then DB's got some stuff coming up as well. And then, like and subscribe to YouTube channel, hit that bell for notifications. Tell me that I hate Justin Fields. I'm a hater.
That's what we want in the comments, is just that. No, but seriously, leave questions for us as well for a future episode. Leave us your thoughts on anything that we talked about today, how you feel about the state of the offensive line. Alan asked the question to the chat as well, so we need your guys' comments there about Broderick Jones.
Let us know what you're doing at tackle. I want to know.
Broderick or Troy, if you could only pick one for right now, which one would you plug in there? Let us know in the comments. If you were listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, be sure to leave us a 5-star review and subscribe over there, and hit us up on TikTok as well at Steelers Afternoon Drive. You can find me everywhere at Zachary Smith, PGH. Alan Saunders and myself, thanks for jumping in. Take another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.